Okay, I'm going to start with doing another playthrough for CC. So this is Tufts Club East, I think, by T Petro. I'm going to start on pin 2, which is the one I think I've tended to be doing. It's either 2 or 3, I can't remember which. I'm going to have a little look. So with all of this, as usual, a disclaimer, this is not going to be the only time I'll play this course. I will kind of point out things as I see. This video will be made available to whomever, principally the designer, after the contest, and if you've got any wishes for feedback, please do get in contact. A lot of the things will be potentially personal preference, but things that I see and leap out to me. You'll also probably find that I take longer doing the first few holes, because after that the same things tend to sort of keep cropping up, if they are. I'll try to be as positive as I can be and look for as much good as we possibly can do, and I kind of took you through what I'm seeing as a judge as well. So yeah, I think Petro's in the major contest with Sakiyawa, which was a really solid entry, and I've been kind of keeping the odd tab on the work in progress threads. So I'll go into everyone's once, just have a rough idea of what's going on. And good news is that I upgraded graphics card and RAM yesterday, so I'm hoping this will run a lot better than previous ones. Really cool look off the first tee, liking the lighting. It's very dark, it might be too dark for some, but just the overgrown dense feel is really cool here. I noticed already we've got a really short course, it's 6,600, and I can't remember I don't know if I saw par. I want to say 70, but I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, oh, 72. Very short 72. Okay, so the trick with this is going to be, first of all, 2 tee sets. I like that. I'm really fine with that. On a course that is this short anyway, putting in a third tee set would feel like overkill to me. So I'm completely happy and supportive of the 2 tee sets here. I'd far rather see fewer tee sets that are well spaced than loads just for the sake of saying you've got 5. I think the tricky thing will be ensuring variety for Master Club users on this, so I'll be interested to see how it holds up. And that back 9 is really short, with 2 par 5s as well. So we'll see how we go with this. Lots of short fours. Short fours are a lot of fun. It's whether the variety will still be there with longer clubs. And although it's an interesting one, angles and things seem like on a shorter hole you can generate wider angles. In actual fact, on a longer hole you can generate them mattering more, in the sense of the ball doesn't stop on a dime. Okay, so that is done about as well as I think you can do it, and clearly taken a lot of time on this. The texture blending here is really good. The mulch, not sold on the little splatters of mulch, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. But I think this might be a personal preference thing. The little bits of mulch and the little bits of bunker have never quite done it for me. But I know that's kind of a byproduct of doing the sort of Nasidery style technique. The overall feel here is really cool. I like that you protected the inside of the dogleg really nicely. And I'm presuming, yeah, angle does matter here. So I've got a choice of layup, a little bit of burning maybe underneath here, but nothing drastic. So we can place the outside of the dogleg, and we're then taking on that little bunker. I really like that little lip planting you've done there. Or we can play to the outside and have a longer approach in, but a better look down the green. Angles on this first hole are really good. And very happy to see that there. If I'm taking master clubs, I can probably bomb it over here, but leave myself a pitch in. I wonder whether that's how I want to play this. Sightline is good. Sightline's really good. I don't need to see the pin at all on this hole. I'm really happy not. Try and get a fast. I didn't get a fast. But we've bounded over anyway. I guess in wind that will play very differently. We've got wind slightly with us. So now I can go to either pitch on or go lofted lob wedge. I'll tend to I think I prefer a pitch here. Again, good sightline. I think the planting is solid. It's not. It feels a little bit random. It's not totally blowing my mind, some of that. So I think these little bits of grass being this close to the fairway, they're quite large compared to. Right. And I know I've done courses with very big grass, and the trick really is to layer it so that you've got the giant one. You've done a bit of that. There's just the odd one that feels like it's standing out a little too much. So like if we're looking at it here, that's grabbing my eye a little bit. I like this. I like the colour palette. I like the variety of trees a lot. I mean, it's all a really solid first hole. I am nitpicking. Good, got my fast that I wanted. And bear in mind, this is a CC course, so like the fact that 162 is a good green speed, I think, as well. Didn't hit it. Yeah, really solid first hole, and I think the planting, the environment has been done really well. Okay, super short par 4 here. I did see the bunker paths on the first. I'm going to have a little look at those in a second. I like the little mulch path down here as well. I think the texture usage here is A1. It's really, really good. Classy look. Okay. This bit looks very barren. And like, normally it's fine, but when you're kind of getting up to here and looking at, I don't know, just suddenly seeing a bare expanse of nothingness back here, I guess there's going to be something here. I think this might be where he's doing his second course. And I want to judge this one in a vacuum as well, so, I mean, it's tricky. Would it be better if there was something back there? Yeah, probably, but... Okay, so we've got a potentially drivable 4. As ever with drivable 4s, the key for me is what's the worst case scenario if I don't go for it? Or if I go for it and miss? Like, what reasons are you giving me not to go for it? I mean, if I land on the other side of that spine and I'm getting to a pin back here, that wouldn't be great. Got a little bit of camber to feed me in. And where are our layups? Well, that's still bringing that bunker in, that bunker in. 1 iron. I think I'd probably like to see a little bit more. Don't know, it's tricky. It feels like driver is my play here. Regardless. I know I can lay up, but am I really going to lay up with 5 iron odd to here? Versus go for it, and what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is maybe I've got a chip from above the hole. Maybe I'm in that bunker, but I'm hitting back up the green. Got the fast this time, should be good. That's lovely sloping, because that's entirely intentional. I really like that. Maybe I think that's a touch too much of an auto drive for me, but I will need to check a couple of the other pins. Obviously this isn't pin 1, so should have paid a bit more attention on the flyover. I'd have liked to have worked a little harder for that, but I'm okay with it. It's a really good first 2 holes though. It's definitely set the tone for the course. Okay. I like the space a lot off the tee. It's kind of this is basically the same hole as 1 but inverted, isn't it? I feel like it's pretty much exactly the same hole. It's either go over the bunker and leave yourself a pitch in. I mean, you've got the little mound in the middle of the little roll, which I think I know exactly where you've got that from. If you're hearing the term roll, I'm sure you do. It's a little Maxwell. And I like that will almost certainly add interest to every single one of the pins that you've got. So for this one, I guess the play is not to go over the corner and not to leave yourself this angle, but it's more to go out here. Does it matter so much when you're taking wedge in hand? I don't know, I think this one we're going to lay up. Or just lay a little further back. So I like the tee shot look. I feel second shot maybe a touch overgrown. It's a little dark. It's still really good. Oh, that's out of nowhere. So this is where I'm slightly worried about this course. We've got a lot of buried trees, and occasionally you can get random very fasts out of here. That one from the fairway was totally me. That's come out as I expected. Go a little, no. It's interesting we got 417 playing stroke index 6. I mean, this hasn't been out that long, but I'm wondering to what extent that's just the course being generally pretty easy. That's a nice putt. The greens have been really good difficulty so far. There's enough slopes to add interest, but equally a few trickier putts. Okay, straight away par 5. Blind tee shot from the looks of it. I'm really liking the way this and this interact. That bunker there is perfect, that green angle is perfect, that is really good. In fact, this whole green side is just top notch. How much do I like it being blind? Not a fan of the two bunkers being dead blind. And I mean, the tree, I guess, is kind of warning you that on that line there's bunkers. It feels a touch forced. I don't think... Now, I don't mind blindness when it kind of should be there. I feel like this one's blind for the sake of being blind. I just think it would look a lot better if I could see everything. Like, you've done so much good, and those bunkers would really pop if we've got kind of... You're seeing down here, you've got the nice kind of almost slightly luminescent green. If you see that bunker popped up a little bit, that one green there, you get to see the little bits of camber, etc. Just why block it? Doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. Now that said, we want to be playing slightly more to the left here. Game is chugging just a little on that screen, that tee shot. Planting wise, it's really good. I think the thing that would elevate it is a little bit more of what guys like Reeb and Terry do. I'm certainly starting to try and do this a bit more, and just kind of grouping plants a bit more. Like, it feels a little like we're going 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You've broken it up well with changes of heights, etc. And definitely this is a look I've pulled off before. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice look. I feel like what you're losing a little bit, you're gaining an environment in that it all looks very familiar, it settles you into the round. I think you're losing a touch of like variety in making the holes pop, or areas, really accenting areas of the holes. I'm getting a real Heathland vibe from this hole in particular as well. It's kind of the bunkering and the way you've kind of banked little almost heathery looks into here. It's a really solid course so far. Absolutely loving it. And all the things I'm saying are nitpicks. Now, I meant to kind of have a little look at the bunker path. Yeah, it's not that flat. And that's a pain. So having done this before, the way to do it is to take the third brush on the first page and use raise by about a foot, and then so you've got that tiny little mini circle in the middle. and just run it all the way down, and then you'll get a nice flat path. Okay, that needs to go just a little. I think this is the best hole so far. Yeah, I was hoping it would do that. Oh, that's really fed on down. I wasn't expecting that to go that far. That's going to be an interesting one to come back on different pins. Let's have a look back up the green. Yeah, the way that has worked has been majestic. I'm really interested to see how it works for different pins, because that sort of a slope is beautiful. You just don't want it to be like every approach shot ends up just there. And it's probably just because I hit the downslope. Versus if you're coming in from this side a bit more. I mean, that approach was perfect. I'm sure Thomas is very happy seeing that. So 2 eagles in the first 4. Happy days. Alrighty, another short drivable, probably hole. Okay, so pin 1 is definitely not a go for it pin. It defaulted me to 1 iron. Again, what's my reason not to go for it? Well, we're going to end up about down here somewhere, but we're chipping back up the green. What if I went 2 wood? 2 wood I could have a little chip on, but the worst case scenario with 2 wood is ending up down here somewhere, and then you're left with a shot to nothing. So I think we go for it and just kind of ride it out. But then we're probably... I'm not sold on the random little patches of heavy rough that I don't think we've done before. I think if those could have been blended together a little bit more, that would work really nicely, but just these ones like little ploop ploops, I don't know, they're throwing me ever so slightly. Kind of gotten to grips with the mulch look though. And the texture palette you've chosen, like the various colourings and the way they work together, is really cool. Okay, so I think we just go for it. Most people will, I'm sure. So we're going to go way over. Oh, was not expecting that to stay on the green. Okay, let's see what we've got. 54 feet, running away after the hole. Probably somewhere up here. That's probably going to need to slow a little bit now. Yeah, I did think that. It's my fault. I was kind of hoping for a chip from... I mean, I hit it slow as well, which is partly why it's stayed on. It's good design. No problems with where that putt ended up. It was online. I will say I'm starting to feel like I'm really hoping we've got a longer hole coming up about now. Or at least a couple. Lovely setting for a par 3. The bunkering's been really good. I think this is going to be one of those courses where I really have to play a couple of rounds on it before I feel how differently it plays. It's a good pin. Lovely framing on this hole. Really like it. This for me is possibly it's the best looking hole so far. No, overhit that one. Tell you what, we could be very easily 6 under after the first and this. But that's alright. That's what this contest is kind of for. And we had 2 slightly lucky eagles. Okay, 7, 427. Liking more of the planting down here in the way it's clumped together, and the same with like this little bit and the way that's coming through. Feel like we must have a fairway going back up the other way, which is cool. Yeah, again, real heathland feel coming from these bunkers. So we've got a slightly blind bunker down there. Not too fussed by that one, because I'm hitting over this anyway. I know where my line is. Green is very friendly. Angle, don't think angle matters as much on this one. We've got a big backstop. Tell you what, this has definitely given me a lot of... If you told me Mayday had designed this course, I definitely wouldn't doubt it. Ah, that's me again. Just in terms of the way the subtle undulations are working, like the low level, like couple of foot here, couple of foot there changes. Small scale sculpting is really good on this course. Put myself in trouble with that approach. I mean, if you can hit her very fast with a wedge, what do you expect? Still good up and down. I do wonder whether the bunkers could look... They could use being bumped up at the back a tiny bit more. Not much, but a little. Okay, split fairway. Yeah, I feel the way you've done the heavy rough a bit more here, and it's joining up a little bit more over here as well. It looks just a bit more pleasing. Okay, so this is going to be one that is better for pro clubs than masters, presumably. So, are we ever going to be able to carry that? Don't think so. Fast, slow. Oh, that would get it down there. Liking this hole. Okay, again, what's my reason not to go for it? If I end up in there, is it the end of the world? I would say bunker sculpting is good. It's so close. I'd still be wanting to see that back bit ramped up about a foot and the bottom dropped a little bit. I like the style and that they're kind of understated. I just feel they're all just... Yeah, this one as well. It's just sunk into the ground maybe about half a foot to a foot too much for my liking. Minor nitpicks. Okay. I was going to just put a little bit of loft on it, but I decided to just try to... Yeah. I'm loving the execution on this. I wish it was a bit longer. And I think you know that that's going to be a critique you get. This hole suddenly feels a lot more open than previous ones. Love the little halfway hut. Bunker stacking here is really well done. Looks very natural. do like the way that bunker digs into the fairway. I think you've done your fairways. It's going to be an underrated aspect of this design is how well you've cut the fairways and cut the bunkers into it. Just with this one, the way that the fairway is kind of banking around the bunker, but it looks like it's just continuing straight around, and you've got this little edge to line up with where this one would be. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of people who notice that. Sculpting here is a little funky. I don't know, I don't think... I get that that's the ridge of this bunker, but we haven't really seen major undulations like that. It's just a bit more severe than we've seen previously. Okay, 352, so the whole of this length is always making me think whether I want to leave a pitch in or not. And I like that that's a challenge that we haven't really had before. I could probably be even in flop distance with this one. And do the angles really matter so much? Could leave myself a lob wedge in. I think we'll play down here. Yeah, the sculpting here is not as good as we've had previously, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is exactly what you're going for. I'll get up a little. Yeah, wanted a fast, got a slow. Yeah, again the background a little bit barren, we can start seeing through. Environment has been a real plus so far, I think. Okay, we've got -6 on the front and missed a 2-footer on the first. Missed a relatively straightforward putt on 6. Could have been. This is the sort of course that people could light up. I think that's fun, because the eagles aren't all guaranteed eagles by any means. That's the weirdest -6, 9 you'll ever see. I do feel it's short. Okay. The water I knew was coming in because I'd seen it teased on the previous hole. I don't think you need it. I actually feel like... I'm not going to say this hole is taking me out of the round, it's not, but... just don't think this hole needed this course needed the water suddenly coming in. I like how you've done the kind of old dried up creek down here. That's nicely done and it's carried through. I'll do a little zoom around the plot at the end as well, because I think you've done it really nicely. Yeah. So this is a drivable par 4 with a real risk. And I'm fine with being in that bunker. Another lovely little mound. That's very well done. I think probably the way to do it is just fly it over it. Yeah, it's a shame that that's an easy shot on this game. I think what I've really appreciated the greens. The green sculpting's been, the word I'd use would be thoughtful. Like you've really put care into where each little rise and dip is. It's the same with this hole. I don't think the water's helping you. And part of that is the heavy rough to water and the dual water plane trick. I'm not sure it needs it. I don't know, I feel like we're hitting variety for the sake of variety. Didn't want the slow, but we're okay. It's a beautiful looking par 3. Just can't help but think if you'd have this as more of your waist area, or maybe have the water but don't bring it in quite so close. I'll zoom out and I'll try and talk through what I think my main thing I'm thinking here. Lots of I think. It's too nothingy. There's been all of this claustrophobia, and then bang, suddenly there's wide expanse of openness, and it doesn't feel natural. We'd have bushes coming down and coming into it. Same here, it wouldn't be quite as banked up to here, or had you used it and not run the fairway right up to the water as well, that would have helped. I don't. It's just jolting me a bit. Nah. Tried to switch the camera just because the grass was irritating me. Yeah. Both holes are really solidly done. I don't think they were quite there. This is blinding. I think holes dead into the sun when you've got the light as low as this. You kind of feel like they're going to work beautifully, and then you build them out and they are really, really tough. Now obviously try not to root around lighting, but just it's worth being aware that dead into the light is a killer. Okay, we've got another little interesting green. This one's got a lot of slope compared to some of the previous ones, but it's par 5, it's short. We're fine with that. The drive is basically blind, which it's okay, but I think we've had now 2 par 5s where they've been blind and we didn't need to be. And I think it would have helped if it weren't. Okay, 235 up 20. Really like where this pin is. Where's my worst case scenario is probably just the wrong side of that little mound again, which you've done really subtly and really well. And it's a great little trick for CC actually. I'm about 50, I'm 50-50 on this little spine here. I would like to be able to take it down a club, let's say the wind was in a different direction, and bounce it in, and I feel like that's the sort of shot I'd like to see a little more rewarded, whereas that's kind of acting as a bit of a barrier. I don't know. I think that might be. That's very much personal preference. Again, I'm too blind for my personal liking. We've got the shot. It is amazing what an updated graphics card has done for my tempo. So that's exactly how I wanted that to come off, and we've just gone through. That's okay. I like that you've given me the option to hit different types of shot into that pin though. And the green, the little contours around the green are great. So I think, on balance, I think I'm okay with this. I might have done it differently, but I like that you've done it. And I really like the little mounds on the left. I just think those add a load of visual and playing interest. This is top notch, it really is. There are things I'm nitpicking for sure, but not a lot of them. Right, we do not want to go off the green on this one. And yeah, we might. Yeah, I guess a 4th eagle might have been a bit silly. Birdie made the birdie even. Oof. Okay. 3 drivable par 4s so far by the 13th, I think is pushing it a touch. So that must be our clubhouse. I like that you've worked us back on a different hole as well. I think that's cool. Ties everything in nicely. Again, geared little green. Right, what are our options? Because I'd really like for driver not to be the play. Where does driver leave us? Okay, I think, unless we're into a stiff headwind, driver is not the play on this hole. So where do we want to be coming in from? Do you want to be coming across that slope or down it? I like that you're giving me choices though. And having said I don't think driver's the play, I don't think it is, but equally I think it will lead me the easiest up and down. So we're looking at the way the green's sloping. I want to be coming back in from about here somewhere. So really this back left bunker's fine, this back right bunker's not ideal, but it will be an easy enough flop up and down, assuming I can execute. Short, I don't want to be short really. I think what we might try to do is this. And then if we go left, okay, heavy rough is probably the worst case scenario. But we're hitting, oh my goodness, that stance. Yeah. I think that's about as bad as I could have worked out, and I've still got a pretty easy uphill 10-footer if it holds its line. So yeah, I think my one common theme, I know I've made par here, but let's take that out of the equation. I still think it's hard to do without water, and I think you have to trick it up a little bit more, but on all three of the drivable par 4s my incentive has been to go for it. I'd like to be, if you're going to have that many drivable par 4s, you can't let me go for it every time. Okay, doglegging round back towards the water, still just looks so empty, I think. I like the dogleg, I like the sweeping look. I'd like to see a little, I'd like this tee to be bumped down or something to allow me to see all the work you've done over here. It's fine as a look, I just think we could be doing more. Oh, we got a tempo. I am really enjoying the course. I think it could really use just 2 longer 4s to break it up a bit more. I'll turn. And I've definitely left a few shots out there. Interested to see what the low score on this one will be. Okay, par 5, stroke index 1. Interesting. See, I think this look is much better than where this feels far more familiar. Feels like it fits and it makes sense than with the water in. Bunkering on here is outstanding. And I think that's been your strength. Your strength has been the seamlessness between natural and placed surfaces. And for a dead straight fairway, you've got your angles absolutely nailed. That's going to be a carry that Pro Club users can't make. I am completely fine with that. I think Master Clubs have to have an advantage somewhere. Interested as to how many varied pin positions you got on this green. I guess there's not that much you can do about it. 254 up 13. So one iron's definitely not getting there. Where do we want to be? Do I want to be long? I don't think I mind being long. Sculpting around the green is really solid again. The mulch has grown on me. I still don't love it, but oh, very fast. Thank you, game. Oh well. I did short side myself, so I mean willingly, but I did. Getting a bit of stutter around this green. We're into kind of maybe a few too many buried trees here. But that's tough to sort. And also, you've taken a big risk, I think, on a course this short, going with 4 par 5s. Feel like if you'd turned one of them into a long 4, you'd have gained overall. This is much more like the look from a par 3 that I'm feeling on this course. Compare it to that one, what would it be, 11th? This one is much more at home, this one's an absolute stunner. And you can tell the lighting's better on this as well. 205. Tough, but you've given me a lot of space on the green. As long as I'm up and over, we're okay. Can we... Yeah, I'm not loving this. Given that I think that that's probably my better way in, hitting onto a tee I do not love. And we just missed the slope. But I genuinely think that's the best way onto that pin. Oh, we'll see what the next hole is, but I feel like taking that tee back 20 yards would probably have been a really good decision. Ah, didn't even get on. Just have to hole a putt. Easy. Yeah, I like that hole. That tee business has just jerked me right out. Back-to-back par 3s. Don't love back-to-back par 3s at 16 and 17, I have to say. Kind of fine with it elsewhere in the round. And I know there's a very famous example of it happening on like 15 and 16. On a course that's this short, I don't think you need any additional quirk. Another great looking par 3. I don't know, I just feel like it feels like I've literally just played this hole. And I know I haven't. I know the distance is different, but we've also, I think one thing I would look at is if you are going to do this, and if you are going to have back-to-back par 3s, you've just given me tuck back right pin, and on the previous hole, I had the exact, this way, I had pin here, so you've given me the same pin twice. Yeah, it's a different hole, it's different length and what have you, but that would break up the feel quite a lot. Also think if you are going to do back-to-back par 3s, you're going to have to work really hard to make them feel different. Like if you think of your most famous example at Cyprus, well, your second one's 250 yards over a massive cliff. I mean, there's a reason why that one's a par 3 there, and I think it's because you've got that great sight. 453 to finish up. This looks like a really nice look off 18. I would have liked to see. I think part of what I'd have liked is a different grass colour mixed in with this. Would have helped. Okay, and we're coming back to that little clubhouse again, so I'll go and have a little scout around that. Let's just have a little flick through the routing as well. Clubhouse is really nicely done. That little waterway is fun. Very random but fun. Cool clubhouse. Very well done. Cars in the car park is important. So then presumably is this where your... Oh, I see what you've done. So this is where your second course is going to be, and you've just surfaced the bits that... I see. So this is where all the land for it is, but you've just done 1 and 18, sort of. I'll look forward to playing that when it comes out. Alright, so spinning up a little bit. I mean, you've done a lot in a small space, which is brilliant. I think the more it shows me, the more that water does just kind of stick out. I like how tightly you've gone through the trees. That's really cool. The mulch all the way around the outside is really interesting. Hadn't noticed that. Hadn't picked up on that at all. Or is it mulch or is it pine straw? Either way. Yeah, I hadn't really clocked that. The ready. That's quite cool. You've done really well with the low lighting, not to kind of just embrace the shadowiness. So one went out this way. Yeah. Cool. I'll skip out of camera mode. So I'm hoping, yeah, best line is challenging these two bunkers. I don't think I've really had enough of, like, just get close to the bunkers but not fly them. Would have liked a little bit more, and I'm really glad you brought it in now. I'm going to go dead at them. Pulled it and hit her fast. Get lucky. Ooh, some very friendly sculpting. No, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like this is the longest approach I've had into a par 4, and I've got a 9 iron. I may be wrong. I've had an 8 iron perhaps somewhere, I think, but would have liked long game tested just a touch more. Still, -8, and I would not be feeling happy if I'm finishing, yeah, -8. I don't think in a CCA event. Which is what I'm on at the time of talking, but I'm not really intending to play on tours any longer. Okay, so, overall thoughts, and let me just get up our, for lack of a better word, rubric, just so I can kind of talk you through. I won't give you exact numbers, but I'll give you an idea of kind of the things I would say for different things. Playability and shot values. Playability is great. The way you've done your sloping, the way you've done your green surrounds, bunker placement, all A1. The thing that is kind of making it dip a little bit for me is the slight sameness of it's all really, really short, and we've got too many drive ball 4s, which kind of made it a bit... The drive ball par 4s were all just a bit too go for. Now with that in mind, what have we shot on them? Well, eagled that one, got par on that one, and I think got a par on this one. So, yeah, they have a bit more of a sting in the tail, but I think you'll have seen me play them. I don't think that going for each of them was the wrong play, and there's a bit of a difference. What else? I think shot values would have increased if you'd given me some longer shots in. I still think my favourite approach on the whole course was the one into 4. And in fact, all of the ones into your par 5s were great, because they made me think more about rollout, about where I was coming in on. So that approach, if you think we landed it short and rolled it on, that one, the one on the back 12, I think, where it was that little spine in front of the green, that came into play because the longer your approach is, I was interested in this at the start, you'd have heard me mention, the longer the approach is, the more it matters how the ball reacts when it hits the ground. And with all the really nice sculpting you've done, you take the most advantage of it on those 2 holes. Whereas the rest of them, when you're coming in with, even if you think 18 was like the longest 4, was it? Yeah, your longest 4 at 4.53, and I'm coming in with a 9 iron that basically still stops on a dime. I think you're hamstring yourself a little bit with the length. Yeah. Do I have anything more to say on playability? No, played really nicely. And I thoroughly enjoyed my round and will be back in a heartbeat. Technical execution, really flipping good. What would I have changed? Little patches of green rough, but I think that's a choice. The way the bunkers sat down just a touch too much for me. But again, that was a choice. Was there anything technical that leapt out at me? The bunker paths a little, but wondering whether that's just because I've got experience with them. And they would be a minor. I mean, the technical is really flipping good on this course. Aesthetics and environment. Environment, phenomenal. The one major knock for me, as you know, will be the lake coming in. It didn't need it, didn't fit. And I think if you'd varied the planting around a little bit more, you'd have felt the need for that a little less. Or if you'd just kept the lake a little bit further away from the playable surfaces, I think that would have helped as well. But these 2, probably the weakest holes for me. And they should have been stunners in that's where you brought it in, but because it just kind of didn't really fit the rest of the environment so well. Routing, flow, cohesion, variety of holes. Routing, great. I like that the pars are not even on the 9s. I think that's really strong. I liked the finishing hole a lot. That's important. 9 I thought was a really good shortish 4. I liked the... I feel this 5 was also a weakish one. Was it this one? No. No, I'm telling a lie. I really liked the approach into 12, but I couldn't see it. I think that was the problem. I mean, one of the questions I always ask myself is how many of these holes do I remember straight away after playing it? I remember that one, I remember that one. Do I remember 3? Yeah, 3 was the mirror image of 1. Remember that. Remember 4. 5 I remember. Don't think I remember 6. I think your par 3s, they've been there, they've been good. They haven't been absolute standout, blow me away. That would be maybe one nitpick. The 4s and 5s, I think, were the strength. I think you could have lost 1-5 on a course this short. Cohesion, variety of holes. Variety of holes, I'm going to need to check on some of this. I'm getting really into detail here because I think this is a course where all of my comments are really nitpicks. How many times was I able to carry a bunker versus, like on 18, just challenge the hazard? Little things like that. Was I hitting to the outside of the dogleg? Was I hitting to the inside of the dogleg as much as I could have been? Those are going to be things that I look back on second play, and I think will come into play later on, probably in the contest, because I think this one's going to go a good way. Obviously, we're still talking fairly early on. Didn't like the back-to-back par 3s there. Just too samey. I think you've tried some really cool things here. I don't think you need to throw quite this much quirk at it. But yeah. Any other overall comments? I think I've kind of mentioned them all. But it's a really strong course, and having played your major as well, it's a huge step up on that, and I can tell it's far more your natural style. Loved it. Bottle it, I think a couple of little tweaks, but really cool. So that's me done. I mean, yeah, top course, and really best of luck in the contest. Please get in touch if you've got any further comments or questions, or I don't know, want to play around or something, and we'll talk through. But yeah, hope this was helpful. Catch you later.